Good morning.
Welcome to Ebony, Ivy, and Time, where we work hard, we love God and family, and we know that everything else is just gravy. Here in the kitchen of Ebony, Ivy, and Time, we do things in the kitchen for the kitchen.
Hello, my friends. We are going to spend a day in the kitchen, and we're going to do a little planning as far as getting ready for November. And it's that time already. I just can't even believe it. We're also going to take a look at the bay window. Now, you know, it's been probably since August because we were planning the magazine shoot. And because of the magazine shoot, we had to do fall extremely early because the magazine shoot had to be done in August rather than in a September, a little later, more reasonable time. But anyway, so because of that, I'm starting to think about what shall we do for our next window design. Now, I've really been thinking about uh, the holidays and what we're going to do for the holidays. These are trying times and it's really different. I've never had to think about what we were going to do as a family or not getting together as a family. We are so used to I get to go to my husband and I go to my son's house and we have a rather large gathering at his house for Thanksgiving, and then for Christmas we go to my daughter's house where we have a humongous gathering for Christmas Eve and Christmas with their family. So this year I think it might just end up being just Papa and I. So not a problem, but that helps me to rethink what we're going to do for the holidays. Now, do we want to just throw down and put all the Christmas decoration up that we possibly can just because we can? Or are we going to scale it back just a little bit? Now, scaled back doesn't mean that it's not going to be beautiful, because for me, scaled back means that I won't have 5 trees. I may only have 2 trees. And so if it is just the two of us because of our health situation that we're in, that the world is in at this point, and we certainly have to think about that. Those are things to think about, that we're going to do things just a little bit different. Now, so I'm going to be looking at that window because that's a spot that I look at right here in the kitchen every day. So here at Ebony, Ivy, and Time that we do things in the kitchen for the kitchen. So we're going to be doing and thinking about things that are creative today. We're also going to look at our meal plan. We're going to have the regular everyday dinners, that we're going about. We've been working through crock pots, and because this is a great time to be able to get that nice warm crock pot going and have it just permeating the house, and it just feels warm and inviting when your crock pot is going. I love that. We've also been taking a look at using cast iron. And cast iron is one of those tried and true tools, kitchen tools that we've learned from the past, that we can have that cast iron 10 years ago, and here we are now, that cast iron's still good and ready to go. So we're going to be doing more cast iron meals as well. And we're going to be doing some things that I would like to share with you about cooking and preparation and planning and all of those good things. And before we go any further, For those of you who are new subscribers, I thank you. I really do. And I thank you for supporting this channel. And for those of you who are family, woo, let's get it on. We're going to have a good time. And you know what? We may not be able to get together right here in the kitchen physically, but you and I are here at heart. You and I are here virtually. And I am so looking forward to having you right here in the kitchen of Ebony, Ivy, and Thyme, where we work hard. We love God and family. And we know without a doubt that everything else, and that includes COVID, is just gravy. So let's continue to lift each other up. Let's continue to love each other. Let's continue to pray for healing of our nation and of our world. God bless you, and let's get our day going. Now, what I like to do is to prepare my coffee. And it's been quite a while since I've done that here on the channel, just so you can see. But what I do is that I go through, I get my little coffee liners, I put the coffee in it, and so all I have to do is to take one out and put it right there. I have my own personal coffee pod. And you know, I didn't have to buy it, because sometimes they're pretty pricey if you buy them pre-done. And plus right now, you're doing well to find the kind of coffee you want, because, you know, nations are having some difficulties getting things done. Another thing that we are going to do is that we're going to, we got to get our candle lit, and because that's a part of the day. And we have to shine our light, light our candles every day. And even if you're a little bit late, it's okay. Whatever time you get up, you know, once you truly get your kitchen started and your day started, be sure to shine your light. Is that finding jars is not easy. So I've been kind of holding on to them, getting them washed up real well, putting them into the dishwasher, keeping the lids, because, you know, I'm not quite sure when Ball and all those companies are going to be back up and really rolling like they used to. You know, it may be a while. So keep your jars.
In my kitchen, meal planning is important. One plan, 1 month, 1 shop.
Over to our running grocery list, and that's over to the week of the 25th, and actually I could have even put it over for the next week, but we know that you know, I kind of have 2 places where I've put it in, because I know this is going to be a big one. So on the 28th, I've scheduled my curbside pickup. So that's what I've got there, the location for the curbside pickup. I know that I'm going to have a lot going on, and the reason I gave myself 2 pages for groceries is because November is a big month because of Thanksgiving. So, you know, as I'm thinking about Thanksgiving, I have to start to think about what I'm going to serve, where I'm going to be. Will I be here, or will I be at my son's or daughter's house, or will they be here? So those are the kind of things that we have to be able to work through. Okay, so in thinking, I think I'll put down here Thanksgiving groceries. Thanksgiving groceries, and then over on the other page it's just going to be our general groceries. Okay, so I know at this point that there are some things that I am definitely going to need to refill, and so let's take a look at that. Now, I think I had thought I'd start with the other one, but I think I'll start with Thanksgiving. That's an easy one. First of all, we know we've got to find the bird. So we need a turkey, and some of you may opt for chicken. Now, I know that over that Thanksgiving weekend, we usually do also, not on Thanksgiving Day, but on Black Friday, we usually have fried chicken. So we're going to need chicken as well. Okay, on that Saturday, I usually have chili. So we're going to need some ground beef. So this is just strictly Thanksgiving weekend. And in the area of produce, I'm going to need celery, lots of onion. I already have sweet potatoes. In fact, I have a whole case of sweet potatoes, so I don't have to worry about that. We've got celery, we've got onion. I have cranberry sauce already. Let's see. Celery, onion. You know, I think that's probably enough in that area. Oh, we need green beans. And I'll have to decide on whether or not that's going to be fresh or if we're going to need use frozen. And we're also going to have some greens. That's always at both holidays. We always have greens. So that's in our produce section. Okay. So our meat, fish, poultry is centered around the bird. Okay. Now in thinking about the canned and boxed, I usually do a box dressing. I use a box cornbread just because it's even. It's easy to do, so I'm going to need some Jiffy cornbread mix. And that's what I make my dressing with, Jiffy cornbread and some other goodies. But anyway, we need some Jiffy. We need, don't know about the desserts just yet. My son likes pumpkin, so I may have to pick up some more pumpkin. I have a little bit, but I don't think it's enough. Pumpkin pie filling. And then we can dress it from there. Okay. I think I'll make some of that apple walnut or either apple walnut, apple pecan bread. For Thanksgiving morning that we can slice and have with coffee or whatever we may want for breakfast, something fairly light. Now, so we'll put in the apple pies, the pumpkin, and I'm also going to need some bread, just in general bread, so that took care of that. Okay, got pumpkin pie filling, got Jiffy cornbread. I only need about 2 boxes of that. That means I'm going to need in the dairy section, I'm going to need eggs, plenty of eggs. I'm going to say about 4 dozen. That'll get us through pies and whatever else needs to be done. We're going to need butter. And we'll probably need at least 3 pounds of butter. And remember, that's going to be over a time period, not just that day. So don't think we're going to use all 3 pounds for Thanksgiving. We're going to need some apple cider because I'm going to prepare my cider house turkey. So we need a large apple cider. I'm going to say 2 gallons of apple cider. Okay. Let's see, we got our dairy. We won't need any. Well, we may need some sliced cheese. We've got grated cheese we can use if we do chili. And of course, whatever leftover veggies we can have with the chicken. Oh, we need potatoes. just white potatoes, russet potatoes. Let's be for some mashed potatoes. And I think I've got plenty of garlic for that. Okay, so we're just looking at Thanksgiving groceries, and look at how that page is filling up already.
Well, we've just about finished up the Thanksgiving planning, which really is a major portion of the November list. And to divide it up into two different sections allows you to do one of two things. You can either include both of these lists together, or you can do a shop curbside for our delivery for the Thanksgiving portion, and also do your regular groceries in a separate trip. So that's the part you'll have to make that decision for.
All right, as you can see, the bay window's blank. And I think what I'm going to do is to switch out the curtains for one thing. And because these look pretty springy, so I'm going to put something on the windows that's a little more neutral. And the main part of the bay, the largest window in the center, is going to be where actually I'm going to remove the curtain completely.
Well, let's get our sink filled, and we're just going to add water to it. I have my crock pot ready, and what we're going to do is to make some enhanced broth to be able to use later during the week. Now, I started thawing about 4 very large chicken breasts, and so what I've done with 2 is that I have deboned them, and you'll see the bones and the skin and all of that sitting on the side. I also have half an onion, so I'm going to place in this crock pot I'm going to chop the onion and get it ready and into the broth, and I have to be very careful with how much seasoning I put in, because I'm not really sure where I'm going to use or when I'm going to use the broth. So since I really have no plans for it, I'm going to just let that broth cook low and slow, and to just draw all of the flavor I possibly can from the bones and the discards from the breast. So I'm just chopping that up, and I had a half an onion already sitting in the refrigerator that needed to be used. So we're taking advantage of what we have. You know, we need to use our food. We don't want to waste anything. So there's the onion in. I'm putting all of the leavings, and actually I ended up doing all 4 breasts. So I took the bones off, and all whatever little skin came off with it. I didn't squabble over that. I'm just throwing it all in, and that is what's going to make my chicken broth. Now, to enhance it, I'm also going to add in 2 heaping teaspoons of chicken bouillon, which is going to give it a very kicked up flavor, which I like. I'm going to bring the water level all the way up, almost to the very top of the crock pot, so that I have lots of liquid. And I'm going to place it on high because I want this to cook. And you see I'm filling that glass. That was the closest thing I had at this point that I didn't want to dirty up. I'll use the glass later. So I'm just going to continue to fill that crock pot with the water. Now, what are the plans for the chicken breast? Well, 2 of the chicken breast I'm going to use in tonight's dinner. So they're ready to go. I'll put them in a Ziploc bag, and we'll work on those in just a little while. But the other 2 I'm going to place in the bag, and I'm going to throw them in the freezer for later on in case I come up with something else that I'd like to do. Because I'm also this month going to come up with a couple of new recipes that I haven't done before. Now, I'm not saying they're new to the planet. I'm saying I will come up with two things that I haven't done before in this kitchen. So let's clean up. I'm getting all the chickadee stuff put away. And in fact, some of the chicken breasts were still pretty frozen, almost totally frozen, which is good because they're going to be going, two of them are going back in the freezer. So I'm just cleaning things up. I'm going to get my washcloth and get that everything wiped up so I can get any juices or whatever might have been from the chicken, that I can get that cleaned up, because you don't want to leave those kind of things laying around, and for fear of bacteria, and we don't want anyone sick. So, you know, I usually prep that water with, of course, my favorite Dawn dishwashing liquid and a splash of bleach, and that just helps to take care of all the little extras that may be out there that may be lurking in the area of bacteria. I promise you, it won't stay around with the Dawn and the bleach combination. So I'm just wiping things up. I haven't plugged the crock pot in because we're going to throw in a little seasoning. So I'm starting out with the first thing I saw, which was my pepperoncino. And you know, I always sprinkle just a tiny bit of pepperoncino in because it gives that extra flavor in the background. No heat, just a little bit of flavor that without it, you'll know for sure. So then I'm going to add in some Mrs. Dash, just a few sprinkles. We're just adding flavor to this broth, and we're going to make it so good. So let's see, let's add in some garlic powder, and I'm not using real garlic yet because this broth we're going to put away and we're going to put it in the freezer for later. I have some turkey broth out in my freezer, and I've got quite a few types of broth that are sitting out there. So this is onion powder. We're going to sprinkle a little bit in just to enhance the flavor as well, so that when we use it, it's not only going to add that chicken flavor that we like, but it's also going to season whatever the dish is. It will help with that seasoning, but it won't over season, which is always a good thing. So I'm using black pepper. I'm putting in about a half teaspoon of black pepper, sprinkling that in. You notice that I did not put any additional salt, and that's because I'm adding in the bouillon. But I saw that hubby had left out some of his celery salt, so I am just going to add a couple of shakes of that celery salt into the mixture, and now we're going to add a little bit of parsley and let that impart some flavor as well. So let's get this stirred up, get this baby plugged in, and it's going to be set for the day. Yeah. What are you doing today in your kitchen? Are you working? Are you just monitoring the children? Or are you planning your dinner? I hope you're doing a little bit of both. I love multitasking. I just think when you multitask, you get a lot of things done. So just think, already we have thought about what we're doing with the bay window for decorating in the kitchen. We've also taken a look at our planning for the month of November, working through our grocery list. Now, so we've gotten several things taken care of. So here's our first Ziploc bag, and you see that we're adding in those 2 chicken breasts. There's a little bit. I'm just going to throw that into the crock pot, that additional fat, because it's okay. Chicken fat is flavor. So let's do this. I'm going to wipe things down, and then we're going to start to season the chicken. So I'm adding the celery salt, because celery and chicken, they're great. great together. So I'm doing both sides of the chicken breast. I'm also adding in some pepper, shaking that in. I'm going to go back through some of those flavors. So you see I'm adding in a little bit of pepperoncino as well. And you know, how much you put in depends on your family. If you like spicy, then you may add a little extra. I'm not at this point. I'm going to put in a little garlic powder because anytime you're dealing with chicken by itself is pretty bland. So you always need to flavor that chicken very well. I'm going to find my paprika, and I'm going to sprinkle some paprika in. That's going to add in flavor as well as color. We're also going to put in some onion powder, and because this packet of chicken is going to go in the refrigerator for the day. And then when it's dinner time later on, we will take it out and be ready to cook it. Now this is a lemon pepper with, it's lemon pepper with rosemary and garlic. So I'm just sprinkling a little bit in, but the herbs are pretty big. They're not, it's not a powder or ground, very small. So now let's massage that chicken and just get those flavors into that chicken. So we'll just massage and rub and get those flavors into it. And then we're going to be ready to zip it up and put it into the refrigerator. One bag to the freezer, and you know, one bag. Well, let's get things cleaned up, and then we're going to work on those potatoes. Now you know what, I needed to peel those potatoes and get them going, and so I could figure out what I was going to do with those few little potatoes that I had. So besides just getting them cleaned up and scraped, as you can see, I'm kind of speeding you through that because you know what it's about, just to peel. Now my initial plan was to roast the potatoes with the chicken, and I thought that would be pretty cool, but then the more I peeled and the farther I got, I thought, I think I'll shred these potatoes. And I'm not exactly sure what I'm going to do with them, but you know what? I will have them ready. We're going to just kind of put them together. And I'm not really talking to you at this point because I have a terrible habit of when you pull out the mandolin, I usually end up with a portion of me in the food, and that's because I cut my hand. So we're not going to have that today. So that's the reason why I'm trying to stay quiet. But you have to laugh. So I'm spicing the potatoes up. I'm using a new seasoning that I purchased called French fries seasoning. And I thought, oh, that's pretty good. You know, throw that in, throw some garlic in, kind of throw the same seasonings in, onions and pepper and a little paprika to give it some color, and a little pepperoncino. And we're just going to get these all mushed up. Now look what I did. You know, the best laid plans. You weren't supposed to see that, but you did get to see it anyway. I thought, well, let's add some onions in. I still had half an onion. I always end up with half an onion. I don't know how that is, but anyway, so I thought I'd throw in some onions, and this time I zipped the bag. So the onions in there with the potatoes, I will probably just pan fry. I hope you have had a wonderful time in the kitchen, and I hope that you will continue to be a part of the Ebony, Ivy, and Thyme family. I have certainly enjoyed your presence.